Welcome back to Bully Ball, a San Francisco 49er podcast. We have a very special guest joining us today, NFL draft prospect Erick Hallett from Pitt. This is our first Division I FBS player on the channel for an interview. So we appreciate you, Erick. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome.
Definitely appreciate you coming on. So kind of jumping into our questions right away. You know, coming out of high school, you were a 3-star recruit. You had a ton of offers, including, UMass, Tulane, Vanderbilt, all of which you took a visit to. What led you to ultimately signing with Pitt?
I really got to give it all to Coach Bates, our defensive coordinator. He's a guy. I mean, Pitt doesn't really recruit Texas at all, let alone Houston. But Bates was the DC at Northwestern, and they recruit Houston very heavily. And my spring, I think that was 2018, spring of 2018, he got the DC job at Pitt, told dudes about me, the head coach, hey, I got this kid out of Houston. I know we don't really go there often, but I would like to bring him on as pretty much his first recruit, essentially. And I really just took a leap of faith based off of my relationship that I had grown with Bates. And that lead me where I am now.
Gotcha.
That's awesome. And for those watching, if you can't see Erick, he's having some technical difficulties with his camera. So we're going to paste a photo of him in there so you guys could see him. But how has Pitt grown and evolved as a program since you've been on campus? You know, it feels like you guys are kind of turning into like an NFL factory, pumping out like prospects year after year, going all rounds of the draft.
Mm-hmm. I think more than anything, you see, like, obviously we're not, or we haven't been a big powerhouse since like the 80s. That's when Pitt was really relevant. We're kind of trying to bring it back around to where we're in the national spotlight. But I think it goes to show, like, guys like myself, guys like that have come before me, and I think guys even that are coming after me, we're not necessarily the most highly recruited guys, but I think our coaching staff does a really great job of developing players. And I think that's on and off the field, just developing us as men. And I think that goes to show with the NFL draft, and even bigger than that, just the careers that we pursue after we're done here at Pitt.
Definitely. So, once you got that starting job, you would go on to start 31 consecutive games in 2020, and then going forward, obviously, as well. You played a critical role in Pitt's success over the past couple years, so you're obviously going to be a big loss to that defense going forward. What would you attribute your consistency, being able to stay healthy for that many games consecutively, and just your impact overall? What would you attribute that to?
I think, like you said, it's just staying consistent. I feel like when I come into the building, I want to be the same guy every day. I don't want to get too high, don't get too low. But I want to make sure that, okay, when you get Erick Hallett, this is what you're going to get out of him. There's no question marks. There's no, well, he's doing this, but he's not doing this, enough of this. I just feel like I'm very consistent with anything I do, whether that be film study, getting in the weight room, mobility, something that I've tried to emphasize over probably the past year and a half, staying in the training room as well. I just try to stay consistent in everything that I do.
Definitely.
Love it.
And for the people that don't know too much about Mr. Hallett here, over his career at Pitt, he had 170 tackles, 7.5 tackles for loss, 8 interceptions, 32 passes defensed, 4 forced fumbles, and 4 fumble recoveries. So, great stats all around for those 4 years. Super impressive.
Yeah. And, how was it going up against NFL talent every day in practice on the offensive side of the ball? You played Kenny Pickett, obviously starting quarterback for the Steelers now. Jordan Addison, going to be a first-round pick. Taysir Mack, Jared Wayne, just tons of dudes that are going to be NFL players for a long time.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, like, okay, we get to game day, and you always want practice to be harder than the game. And I think having guys like those that you mentioned, plus many, many more, I think that really, like, hones in that aspect. Because I never want to come into a game and feel like I'm unprepared, or feel like I haven't gotten that look. When obviously your scout team isn't whoever you might be playing that week. But being able to go against Jordan or being able to go against Kenny, being able to go against Jay Wayne, Taysir, like guys like that, even Konate now, and Bub, I think you get that look every day, whether it be one-on-ones, whether we go out there and do Skelly. We have a couple of periods where we still go against the ones during the season. I'm able to get that live look of somebody that's fast or just as fast as me, somebody who's able to run their routes at a very high level, and he's able to go against me as well, somebody who's doing my position at a very high level, somebody who's going to be on all toes. So I think we really emphasize trying to make practice harder than the games.
Yeah, definitely have a lot of talent on the team that, like you said, gives you that great look, sometimes better than the team that you guys might be playing that week.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forwarding a little bit to 2021, you guys would go on to win Pitt's first ACC championship with a 45-21 victory over Wake Forest. You also won MVP of that game with 2 interceptions and a touchdown. How did it feel winning that award? In your guys' first ACC championship victory ever, how did it feel winning that award over guys, like Kenny Pickett, Jordan Addison, Israel A. I'm not going to try to say his last name because I'm going to butcher it, but, you won it over a lot of talent. So how did that feel?
I mean, it really felt great, but like personally, I don't feel like I could do my job without the other 10 guys on the field, let alone the offense. So I really feel like it was a shared trophy in that fashion. I mean, like on both of my interceptions, like there was pressure on the quarterback's face. He could hardly even see the receivers. I mean, obviously I had to be doing my job as well in order for me to capitalize on those plays. But I can't take all the credit for being able to make those plays, or even for putting us in those positions to make those plays. So it was really just an honor, and obviously to bring an ACC championship back to Pitt, something that we've been striving to get to ever since we've gotten here. We changed the colors, we've put in new philosophies, and to finally accomplish a goal that, I mean, that's what we came here for. We came here to win championships. There's really no better feeling.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's awesome. And, that leads us into the next question this year. You guys had a vaunted defense this year. I could name tons of people: Kalijah Cansey, Brandon Hill, yourself. You guys probably have about 8 guys on defense that are going to get drafted this year. And you said it in that last question, but how did playing with a defense that loaded help make your job easier?
I really think it was like I didn't ever have to step out of myself to go make plays. I always knew they'd come to me. Like I'm not having to, oh well, he missed his tackle or he missed his assignment or anything like that. Like obviously all those guys that you mentioned, ever since I've been starting, they've been starting as well. So like those have been guys that I could heavily rely on. Okay, this is what I'm seeing. This is what's happening. Let's make sure we make the adjustments and capitalize on it. And we're able to do that, I think, like very efficiently. And so I think that goes to credit to, I mean, our chemistry, our cohesion, and just how well we play together.
Definitely, 100%. This is going to rack your memory a little bit, but kind of piggybacking off that last question, who would you say the best defensive player that you've played with was?
The best?
Yeah.
That's a hard question.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could just give just one. I feel like everybody has a different edge to them.
Gotcha. That's, yeah.
I mean,
and then let's see, who would you say the best offensive player you feel like you played against in college was? If you can, or maybe if you're going to give a couple, 2, 3, or if you can just name one that you remember vividly.
I want to say a whole offense. I think every year we've played North Carolina, it's always been a game. And I don't just necessarily think it's one guy, like whether it be Josh Downs, Johnson on the end. Like I think, and even when Daz Newsome was there, I think that was 2020 or 2019. I mean, they've just always had guys, always a guy under center, whether it be Sam Howell or Drake May now. That's just a really hard offense to guard.
I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's a super
extremely
explosive offense.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, extremely interesting too when when you guys face people like Clemson. So yeah, North Carolina, that's an interesting one for sure.
So the final game of your career was the Sun Bowl versus UCLA, right? You would go on to win 37-35. Most players that are heading to the NFL nowadays like to sit out of those bowl games. You know, you decided to play. What did it mean to go out there and then to also win with your teammates?
Yeah. For me, it was more so of just I set out to say I'm playing 13 games this season, or really, 13 games this season, and so that's what I was going to do. I mean, obviously, I wanted it to be 15, including the playoffs and the championship, but we weren't able to get there. But I think it was more so just finishing the mission. I didn't feel like me sitting out was necessarily going to change anything. I mean, I was willing to take a little less reps as well that game so we could get the younger guys in, and so they wouldn't come game one next year and be like a deer in headlights. And then being able to win a game like that, being as kind of your last send off, your last farewell, I don't think there's any better way to go out.
Awesome.
Gotcha. Would you say coaches kind of push, like you mentioned, for the younger guys to get some reps in that last game, in that bowl game? Not saying it's meaningless, but would you say that coaches usually kind of push for the younger guys to get into that last game, like you said, so they have some experience going into the next year, or is that really like a player's decision?
No, absolutely. I think the coaches definitely push, but like being in my position, I mean, he comes and talks to me and says, okay, I want you to start because obviously you've earned the starting position, but how much do you want to play type thing. And I mean, we have a transparent, a good relationship in the fact that I'm able to tell him, okay, I only want to play this certain amount of plays because I want to make sure these guys get their reps. So there's no awkward feeling for the first college game because there's always college is way different than high school. I don't care what anybody says. College is way different than high school, even if you're not playing a really good team. But being able to get out there and just get some snaps, get some reps under your belt, feel comfortable being in our system, I think is very important.
Yeah, definitely. So this past season, you were FWAA Second Team All-American, and obviously you had a great season. You got an invite to the Hula Bowl. Did you have some level of disappointment that you weren't invited to the Combine, even though some of your teammates were?
I wouldn't call it disappointment. I mean, it's a part of the process. I can only control what I can control.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that just tells me I need to work a little bit harder. I need to do a little bit more to get noticed. Just what I'm doing right now might not be enough is all that's telling me. So I wouldn't necessarily say disappointment. I just need to grind a little bit more.
Gotcha.
How was your Hula Bowl experience? Were you able to talk to a lot of scouts during that process?
Yeah, I actually was. I was able to talk to a lot of teams during the Hula Bowl. I mean, it was really good being down there in Florida, Sunshine State. I was able to get away from Pittsburgh and all these. I mean, you hear these trains. And it's constantly snowing here. I have no idea why. But no, it was good. I really enjoyed the process.
Hey, man, we get you out to sunny California. You don't got to worry about all that snow and all that type of stuff, man. California, but you will be getting taxed, that's for sure. So you might want to take that snow over this tax.
Yeah, that's not something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, definitely. So at your pro day, all 30 teams were in attendance, and you measured in at 5'9", 198, and ran 4.42. Were you pleased with that performance? And do you think you caught the attention of scouts that might have been overlooking you, because of your size?
As a competitor, I always feel like I could do a little bit better. I mean, I'd been practicing down in a lower range. I won't necessarily give you a number, but I've been practicing down in a lower range, and that's what I had expected to run. But obviously, I feel like I could have done a little bit better, but I still feel like I turned some heads. I feel like I accomplished what I went out there to accomplish, definitely.
Yeah, great. Yeah, you ran a great speed. We kind of pulled up another person that is around your size, obviously that's in the NFL now, and it was Tyrann Mathieu, but all of your measurables in your 40, your shuttles, things like that, you all tested out, a little bit better. But what do you think of that comparison to Tyrann Mathieu?
I mean, shoot, that's an honor. That's somebody that I want to say I try to emulate my game after. But someone being of similar stature, I look at him as somebody, okay, he might have a deficiency in this area, but how does he make up for it elsewhere? And obviously having the college career that he had, I always watched his highlights. And then to see him transition into the league and kind of change the way he plays, but still keep that kind of edge that he plays with, I mean, that's something that I've tried to implement into my game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, as a 5'9" free safety, are the NFL teams you're talking to trying to see if you'll play slot in the NFL, or are they wanting you to stay at safety?
I've gotten like recognition for both, honestly, just because I played both as well, and they feel like I'm still able. I can be in the back end, and I'm still can be rangy. I've played a little bit of slot here at Pitt, and I've talked to coaches, and they're open to me playing that as well. So I'm really ready for it all.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Emory Hunt has you listed as his number 2 free safety in the draft. What would you say, to some of those NFL teams that are kind of overlooking you or, underrating you just because of your size? What would you say to them?
When you see Erick Hallett, I feel like you get another asset. I feel like I was raised on kind of an ideology of you have either assets or liabilities. And I try to be an asset not only to myself, not only to my peers, but I mean everybody that I come in contact with. And I feel like whatever team drafts me, that's what you're going to get. Somebody who's adding value to your organization, somebody who's adding value to your franchise.
Definitely.
That's awesome. And, we spoke on Tyrann Mathieu, but who are some other NFL DBs that you try to model your game after?
I definitely say Tyrann Mathieu, like you said. Another one's Earl Thomas. That's somebody that I especially when they had the Legion of Boom kind of going on after that, it kind of got sideways. But especially kind of in that era with him, Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor. That's someone that I was watching a lot, just trying to see the way that he moves. Of course, being of similar stature, but it was mainly those two guys.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Come to the 49ers, you guys can kind of emulate a Legion of the Boom. You and Talanoa Hufanga, that could be turning heads for sure.
Absolutely.
Which players in the NFL do you look forward to going up against the most? If you could name a couple.
Honestly, I don't like to put bounty out on people's heads. I'm a nice guy. I don't know. I'm really just looking forward to the competition to see what's so different. I feel like I mentioned before how the jump from high school to college has been. It's an adjustment period that you have to get used to, and really I'm just looking forward to see what that's like at the next level.
Yeah, definitely. Smart man too. Smart man. You don't want to show up to some locker room first day and be like, "Hey, what the hell's going on? Call me out or what, dog?" Yeah.
And then our last formal question we have for you is, have you been contacted by the 49ers yet? And, which teams have you been in contact with the most?
Yes, I have been contacted by the 49ers. I can't disclose all the teams.
That's fair.
But I have been in contact with the Niners.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Have any teams kind of given you a range of where they expect you to go? Obviously, not naming any of them, but have they given you a range of somewhere where they would expect you to go off the board?
Honestly, right now it's all over the place. I try not to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Anything from day 2 to undrafted. So I mean, no one really knows until it's that day, really, or the coach or the GM decides, okay, this is what we're doing. So I just try to keep my head down and do what I can do, control what I can control.
Definitely.
And then I have Twitter up here, and you were just at the spring game we had talked to you a little bit before, and you said you're at the spring game.
Mhm.
Fellow safety PJ O'Brien said that being your roommate last year was a big help to his understanding the defense and being ready to start this year. And then he would go on to have a pick six in the game today. So, how was it going from the freshman guy to being the senior and the leader and having to like kind of groom these guys and lead the defense for you?
Yeah, I think that's something like I think like I was always behind DeMar. I mean, everybody knows DeMar Hamlin,
Yeah.
and I think he showed me, okay, this is how you're supposed to do it. And I think taking kind of what he did and turning it into my own. Okay, now I'm stepping into the starting role. I not only have to worry about myself, but I need to worry about those who come after me. Like, to make not only my team great, but the University of Pittsburgh great. It's not just about what y'all currently do. It's what you're developing, the program that you're trying to build. And I think we were a part of that. And I think that goes to show, like PJ's quote, like just the time that we invest not only into the program, not only the football, but into each other. Because like he's one of my good friends. So I invest a lot of time into him. We sit here and watch film together. We sit down and break down film together before the games. Like he said, he was my roommate. We take our little pregame test together. Make sure we're getting both the calls right. Making sure we're pretty much on all toes, and on the same page. And I think that really just goes to show the relationships that we build while we're here in college.
Yeah,
Love
definitely. How big of an impact would you say that DeMar Hamlin's had on your career as a player and as a person?
I'd probably say a bigger as a person, just because I've seen the way that he, like I mentioned before, I want to be an asset. I've seen the way that he impacts the people around him, and I mean that's something that I want to mimic. Not only my game after, but I mean shoot, my life really, to have such a positive impact like he has on pretty much everything that he touches. I mean I can't imagine a bigger goal in life than that.
Yeah, definitely. I have one more question. Do you have any more, Joe?
Yeah. And, attending Pitt, I believe you graduated with 2 degrees from there, correct?
Yes, sir.
What were those in?
I got a undergrad in politics and philosophy, and then I got another undergrad in professional and media communications.
Awesome. What do you want to do after your NFL career with those degrees?
Um, I want to go to law school. Funny enough, not to be a lawyer, really just to brag and say I did it.
Yeah. It makes
Um,
sense. It makes sense.
But ultimately, I want to be a broadcaster, and then I want to end up being an AD somewhere, an athletic director.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, my last question, like being that senior on the team, how would you describe your leadership style? Are you kind of one that's going to lead by example and let your work speak for itself? Or are you kind of more of a vocal leader, or even a blend of the two? What would you say your leadership style is like?
I think having a person like Brandon Hill by my side, someone who I've built a big relationship with. He was more of the vocal guy. I was more of the I'm gonna show you how it's done type of guy. So I think that kind of yin and yang, I think, works really well to help bring guys along.
Definitely. Got anything else, Joe?
Nope, that's all I got. We appreciate you joining us, Eric. And we wish you the best of luck in the draft. And we'll be following your career and your journey. And so we just wanted to let you know we appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all's time. I appreciate the opportunity to get to know y'all.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for coming on, and hopefully we see you in that red and gold, best uniform in the NFL. You get that drip and be looking good back there, man.
That sounds good.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Thanks.
Send it back.